Hey, Jason here. In this tutorial I'm going to introduce you to the art of tracking. And I call it an art because it does take some practice and a lot of trial and error. So tracking is when you have an object or a piece of text which is tracked onto a particular point in some footage, giving the impression it's attached or embedded in that scene. A good example I have for you is the opening sequence to the film Stranger Than Fiction, made by MK12. So I'll play this now. And you will see text and other elements tracked into the scene, here using the toothbrush. I thought we could create something similar today, so I will start by creating a composition using the footage I've already imported into my project. I'll drag it down here to create a composition, and I will drag that composition out and I'll name that track comp. Drag that into our comps folder. And what you want to do is go up to Window and find Tracker. If it hasn't got a tick, click on it. Mine already has a tick because I already have mine open, so it is over here on the right in my panels. So click on Tracker and we want Track Motion. Click on that. And for this scene, I only want position. I don't want rotation or scale, so we will leave just position ticked. Once you've clicked on track motion, you will see this track point 1 appear. I will just zoom in so you can see it a bit clearer. Here it is, 2 squares and a central crosshair in the center. The inner box is the area we want to track, and the outer box is the area our track point will look within to find the point we've decided to track, which will make more sense shortly. So I will just zoom back out so we can see the full scene. And I've decided to track this guy's glasses. So what I could do is, if I just zoom in again, a bit more, just increase the sizes of our boxes and zoom out. So what I could do is make our inner box the exact size as this section of his glasses. So make it a bit bigger, and we just want this area that we've decided to track to fill our inner box. And then our outer box, if we were to go forwards 1 frame to see how much it moves, it doesn't move too much, so our outer box can stay quite small. If it was, for example, to move significantly, like say to here, we would maybe put our outer box a bit bigger just to ensure it stays within this outer box. Now this may well track okay, but more likely than not there will be some errors along the way, as the colours and contrast within this area aren't stand out enough in the scene. Ideally what we're looking for is a small area that stands out against its background. For example, if he was wearing a brightly coloured earring, or if his pupil was more stand out in the scene, less blurred, or if this button was filled in. It might even work without it filled in because it's the black-white contrast is really good. If I was going to track his phone, what I probably would do would be track this white shine. I think it's a shine, this white section here, because it does stand out against its background. What you do want to ensure is that whatever you track stays prominent and in focus throughout. That does disappear, so that will not track past this point here. Luckily, I'm looking to track his glasses, and his glasses do have a perfect white dot in the corner here. So that is what we will be tracking. I'm just going to scale down our boxes and move it over to that left dot, putting our crosshair as central as possible. That should do it. And just zoom in and make our inner box the exact proportions or as close to that dot as we can. That should be fine. And make our outer box quite small. As we know, the scene doesn't move too much, so it can be quite small. I'm just going to jump forwards a frame. And it is still within our outer box, but I am going to make it a bit bigger in case it moves more later on in the scene. That will hopefully be okay there. So now, depending on where we are in the scene, we are at the start. We will want to click Analyze Forward. if you're at the end, or if you're in the middle but want to analyze backwards, we will click Analyze Backwards. We're at the start, so we'll be clicking Analyze Forward. I'll just zoom out so we can see how it goes and click Play. That seems to be tracking quite well. If your track point was to jump off or decide to track this dot here, potentially if our outer box is too big, it could easily jump over to this one, thinking it's the one we want to track. We would click Stop here, reset, and start again, back to the beginning. And we would adjust our boxes. We may even need to find a different point, and we would then click Play again. We know this one works, so I will keep it as it is. I will just let it track 5 seconds worth, so I will click Stop, or I'll click Stop when it gets to 5 seconds. There we go. And now I'm just going to scrub backwards and forwards to see if it looks like a solid track, which it does. Again, if you're not happy, you can just click Reset and start again. There is a lot of trial and error involved, so don't be disheartened if it doesn't track first time. So now what we want to do is create a null. So if we go up to Layer, New, Null Object. And let's just name our null track null. And over here on the right, we're going to click Edit Target. And we're going to make sure our track null is selected in this drop-down box. Click OK. And then we will click Apply. Yep, we want both X and Y dimensions. If you want one or the other, just select X or Y by themselves, but we want both X and Y. OK. And again, I will just scrub through to see how that looks, and that looks quite good to me. So what's happened is our track null that we just created now has keyframes for the position to follow that dot. So you'll see a keyframe for each frame of that track. We only did 5 seconds, so I am just going to trim our composition. And what I usually do at this stage is just create a quick square, or any shape really, just as a test. Oh, sorry, that's a mask. I'll click off that and start again. So a quick square, just make that stand out. Let's make that just a red, pink. And let's just put that around here. And then what we want to do is on our shape layer we just created, we want to pick whip to our track null. If you can't see this here, you may need to toggle some of these buttons at the bottom until it appears. If not, you can just right click at the top, columns, parent and link. So we want to either use this pick whip, click, hold and drag onto our track null, or select it in the drop down next to it, our track null. And that shape layer will now follow that null. So if I just play this through, see how it looks. Yep, and that looks like a solid track. So I'll now delete that shape layer. Now we know it's a good track. Delete that. And I have a comp I created earlier. I'll just show you inside so you can see what it looks like. Just play it through. It's just a simple line and text animation that I'm going to track to the glasses. So I'm going to go back to our track comp. I'm going to drag in this text comp. Let's drag it underneath our track null. Just scrub forward. It's way too big, so I'm just going to scale this down. Move forward a bit so I can see it in its finished state. And I'm going to move it up to here. Not forgetting to pick whip or select on our drop down our track null. Now, if I was to play this through, it should follow that null and be tracked in our scene. And there we have it, our text and line tracked onto his glasses and embedded in the scene. Something else I get asked a lot by clients is to remove logos in scenes and elements like that they don't want. So if I was to turn this off, so for example, if these two dots were a logo which the client would like removed from the scene, we can just create a quick shape layer. I'll just zoom in. And let's just make a quick ramp, a gradient ramp onto that shape layer. Let's just do this very quickly, just so you can see. Two colors. There. There. Okay, it's not perfect, it's quite bad actually. But let's pretend that's now invisible. We would then pick whip this to our track null. Play it through. And our logo has now gone. So if a client has asked you to track some footage which they have filmed themselves, they may very well put dots onto certain areas of the scene. You may see some films where they have dots on faces or elements within the scene that they later plan to track. What you would do is track them, patch them out, and then put our elements on top to create a seamless scene. And there we go. That's a brief introduction to tracking in After Effects. I hope it was useful. Have fun with it, and thanks for watching.